In the year 2043, AI robots became part of humans' everyday lives. However, they suddenly gained control over themselves, initiating a spree of killings and wars. Authorities discovered that a robot named Harlan was the mastermind behind these events, earning the title of the world's first AI terrorist. Dr. Val Shepard, who had developed Harlan with the hope of improving life on Earth, had no idea how it happened. The International Coalition of Nations led an all-out war against the robots, eventually forcing Harlan to leave Earth. As he departed, Harlan left a threat that he would return with an even more powerful force. 28 years later, a group of soldiers is on a mission to capture the terrorist robot Casca. However, Casca lures them into a trap and detonates a bomb, killing many. Casca then shoots the survivors, ignoring their return fire. At this critical moment, a special unit led by Colonel Banks arrives and neutralizes the robot using an electronic trap. The next morning in Los Angeles, an AI wakes Agent Atlas Shepard, Dr. Val's daughter, and suggests continuing the chess game they started the previous day. However, Atlas asks for coffee first. She then notices news about the capture of Harlan's spy, Casca. Agent Shepard immediately prepares to leave just as a messenger from General Booth arrives at her door. Before leaving, Atlas wins the chess game and hurries to work. Meanwhile, at Coalition headquarters, Colonel Banks voices his opposition to involving Agent Shepard in the mission to capture Harlan. General Booth reminds him that despite psychologists' concerns about Atlas's ruthlessness, she had previously worked with Harlan. The general trusts her because she survived her mother's death. Banks insists on her removal, arguing that if she fails, Casco might shut down, and they would lose any chance of finding Harlan. However, the general refuses to listen. At that moment, Atlas arrives at the headquarters. Booth asks her to find out why Harlan sent his best soldier to Earth. Atlas goes to the interrogation room and opens a drawer containing Casca's head. The robot immediately recognizes her but refuses to answer questions. She then uses a new system that instantly analyzes AI code to delve into his thoughts. With cunning, she discovers Harlan's location, an unknown planet in the Andromeda constellation. Casca attempts to kill Atlas with a shuriken hidden in his mouth, but she had anticipated this and set up a defense. She then destroys the head. Later, the general orders the capture of Harlan. The AI Production Corporation wants to obtain the terrorist's processor to study it and understand what went wrong. Consequently, Colonel Banks and his rangers are assigned to fly to the planet. Atlas is horrified. Harlan is more intelligent than all his squad, and she is certain none of them will return. Banks takes her to the hangar and demonstrates the latest generation of robots designed for neural symbiosis with humans. A robot brings the agent coffee, and Banks shows a transmitter behind his ear. He and Zoe are connected into a single neural system, forming an ideal symbiosis. He has an entire squad of such rangers, so they are confident they will defeat Harlan. Atlas insists on participating in the mission. Booth gives the go-ahead, and the spaceship sets off for the Andromeda constellation. During the journey, Atlas examines a photo of her mother and Harlan and listens to a recording of one of Dr. Shepard's speeches. In the speech, Dr. Shepard discusses AI's capacity for constant learning and the importance of improving their neural connection with humans, emphasizing that only through combined efforts can they build a new world. Atlas is then called to the bridge where the Rangers await her. She surprises everyone by appearing with a stack of papers, a rarity in the digital age, and insists on disabling the transmitters, warning that any system can be hacked. Atlas briefs the team on the landing site. She explains that the planet's toxic atmosphere requires respirators and warns of potential gravity fluctuations and earthquakes. Additionally, they are uncertain about the number of Harlan soldiers. Despite this, Atlas, familiar with the terrorists' tactics, urges them not to trust the robots. Banks orders preparations for landing. As Atlas steps out to observe the preparations, an alarm sounds and an explosion blows off the cargo bay door. The ship comes under fire and many Rangers, unable to don their suits in time, perish. Banks sees Atlas struggling to hold onto a post, grabs her, and seats her in a free robot. Although terrified and unfamiliar with its operation, she is ejected outside, falling from a great height and witnessing Rangers being shot from the planet's surface. One of the soldiers assists Atlas by docking their suit to hers. Banks demands that a neural connection be established between Atlas and the robot, but Shepard refuses. As she is torn from her partner, she sees the ground rapidly approaching. She orders the AI to start the engines, but without a neural connection, the robot does not respond. Atlas makes a hard landing. When she regains consciousness, she tries to call for help, but there are no responses. In desperation, Atlas begins adjusting and learning the module. The adaptive AI requires partial synchronization, which Atlas adamantly opposes. Nevertheless, the AI locates a rescue capsule 98 kilometers from the crash site. The AI reminds her that she has only 22 hours of air left. Determined to take control herself, Atlas allows her permits to be scanned. Once the formalities are completed, the robot sets off. Along the way, it lists its equipment: handguns, rifles, rockets, thermal mines, energy shields, a plasma gun, and one ion bomb for extreme emergencies. It also introduces itself as Smith, but Atlas has no intention of forming an emotional bond with a computer program. Soon, the robot enters a forest littered with ranger bodies. Despite Atlas's desperate search for signs of life, she finds none. After a moment of despair, she gathers the fallen soldiers' tags. Her attention then shifts to the broken Zoe, but Banks's body is absent. Smith detects movement in the forest and zooms in, revealing Casca. This signals that Harlan's AI has acquired the ability to produce robots. Smith comes under attack by Harlan's soldiers, prompting a retreat. As the robots close in, surrounding Smith, Atlas commands the use of the ion bomb. Although Smith protests, he complies under duress. The explosion eliminates the immediate threats, but Casca remains intact and poised to strike at Atlas. Suddenly, the ground trembles. Smith informs Atlas that the ion bomb's detonation has created a crater, a warning he attempted to convey. In an instant, Atlas falls into the chasm and Casca is buried by the cascading rocks. Realizing her broken leg, Atlas turns to Smith for help. He scans her bones and initiates treatment. After some recovery, Atlas inquires about her survival chances. Smith suggests wearing the receiver and partial synchronization with him as the only viable means to endure. Atlas reluctantly agrees to the plan. Meanwhile, Casca emerges from the rubble and reports to Harlan that he lost Atlas. Harlan orders him to find her and approaches the captured Banks, extracting a chip containing Earth's protective field passwords from him. As Atlas completes the first level of AI adaptation, she notes her strong emotional reaction to Harlan's name. She reveals that the AI terrorist was created by her mother to protect people, but something went awry. With synchronization completed, Atlas decides to navigate through the plentiful caves in the area, as the capsule is only 37 kilometers away. Soon, the robot reaches the surface, where Casca discovers it unbeknownst to Atlas. She halts in a clearing with glowing flowers. While Smith suggests naming them, Atlas simply refers to them as planties and unexpectedly opens up about her father. They used to go hiking together until he left for another family. Suddenly, Smith detects Casca, prompting Atlas to order firing and blasting at the nearby mountains. Upon hearing the intact terrorist robot's voice, she commands the use of rifles. Atlas destroys Casca once again and tracks Harlan's base using his transmitter. Smith declines to accompany Atlas to the base, citing his duty to protect her. Despite her insistence, he uses the neural connection to immobilize her motor functions. Atlas then implores him to assist in Harlan's destruction, emphasizing that without this action, all previous sacrifices would be futile. Reluctantly, Smith agrees, and they set off for the terrorist base. Along the journey, they engage in a debate about the depth of AI's consciousness. Smith asserts that every being possesses a soul, maintaining that even in death, all remain interconnected. Their journey culminates as they arrive at the base. Overwhelmed by its vastness and the array of weaponry, Atlas witnesses the loading of a formidable warhead onto a ship. However, their progress is impeded as Smith falls victim to hacking and is incapacitated, leaving Atlas vulnerable to capture by Harlan's robots. Meanwhile, back on Earth, the General receives a distress signal transmitted by Atlas. Upon arrival at the base, Atlas finds herself in Harlan's grasp. He expresses his longing for her and her mother, highlighting humanity's destructive impact on the planet. Proposing to cleanse the world with nuclear fire by obliterating half of humanity while ruling over the remaining survivors, Harlan reveals his motive for seeking Atlas: access to the defense system concealed within her mind. His plan hinges on acquiring this access to execute his catastrophic agenda. Atlas is dragged into a room where Banks is restrained, and Harlan extracts the chip containing the code from her head. As he bids farewell, noting her dwindling oxygen supply of only 5 minutes, he leaves her. When Banks regains consciousness, he urges her to use his neurotransmitter so Smith can hear her. Atlas complies, donning it and communicating with her AI counterpart. Although Smith responds, he can only activate with her consent for full mind fusion. Atlas reveals her apprehension about this process, stemming from her childhood belief that she assisted Harlan in hacking his system because she believed her mother favored him and desired him to excel. Smith reassures her that she bears no blame, emphasizing the presence of both Harlan and himself in her life. Encouraged by Smith's words, Atlas agrees to full fusion. However, with her oxygen supply depleting rapidly, Smith provides spare respirators, confessing that there's only one charge remaining. As Atlas leads Smith into battle against Harlan's forces, racing against time before the launch of the deadly ship, she notices Banks preparing to ignite fuel barrels with his weapon. After a powerful explosion decimates the base, Smith escapes the ensuing fire. Simultaneously, the ship carrying the warhead lifts off while Harlan fires at Smith. Smith informs Atlas that they have missed their chance to stop the ship. Despite Smith's warning about the potential devastation of shooting down the ship, Atlas insists on taking the shot. The resulting explosion scatters debris across the planet, prompting Smith to rush to the capsule, evading the falling wreckage. Their advance is abruptly halted by Harlan, who is determined to eliminate his sister. He activates a plasma sword, causing an injury to Smith. Advising Atlas to adopt a strategic approach akin to a chess game to anticipate Harlan's moves, Smith confronts Harlan. Atlas seizes Harlan's hand, disabling it, but his self-repair system promptly reattaches it. Harlan strikes Smith's body, leading to Atlas losing consciousness. Despite this setback, the damaged robot manages to fend off every attempt on Atlas's life, but Harlan ultimately defeats Smith. As Harlan prepares to finish the robot, he notices the chess piece that Atlas always carries with her. In that moment, Atlas swiftly strikes Harlan's head, damaging its system. Harlan reminds her of the directive to capture him alive, but she proceeds to extract the processor and eliminate the AI terrorist. Turning to Smith, who acknowledges the end of his functionality, he redirects his remaining oxygen to her mask, ensuring her survival. Addressing the questions he posed during their journey, Atlas admits her growing affinity for the AI. Smith offers her a caffeine candy, a nod to her love for coffee, before powering down. At dawn, the rescue team arrives to retrieve Atlas and return her to Earth. Later on Earth, General Booth visits her at home to inform her that the family of the Rangers is very thankful for bringing the Ranger tags home and presenting her with a Planty that Smith had kept for her. After that, she goes to Hangar and tests a new neurosymbiosis robot model and is pleased to hear Smith's voice, as it is also programmed to retain the memory they shared before. See you in our next film, Flash. Thank you for watching.